Meet Palle Bo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world.
My name is Palle Bo, and I'm a long-time radio producer. In 2013, I started planning to become a digital nomad, and in July 2016, I set out on a quest to visit every country in the world.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Good morning. I'm at the old railway station in Paradenia. It's a little bit south of Kandy, and I'm about to go on an epic train ride. I heard so much about the beauty of the landscape that we're going through, and I'm really looking forward to that. Welcome to the last episode from my trip to Sri Lanka. The Radio Vagabond is partly supported by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotel rooms and guest houses around the world. Hotels25.com. It's best price guaranteed. The trip to Sri Lanka was made possible by Sri Lanka Tourism, who were kind enough to invite me on this exciting press trip.
So we have very advanced technology back in the UK.
As we were waiting for the train on the platform, I was chatting to one of the other in the group, Dave Brett, also known as Travel Dave.
But the railway network has been around since the Victorian times in the UK, and when you travel around coming to places like Sri Lanka and India, you sort of see what the railway system used to be, because they kind of replicated it and then set it up here, and they still have the same system that they used back in the Victorian times here in Sri Lanka. And for me, that's cool. It's very vintage, so it's kind of cool to like go back in a time machine almost and just see something. It's like, why fix something that works?
Yeah. His blog is called traveldave.co.uk. Being from the UK, he knows something about old time train systems. Pay attention, guys. This is super interesting.
So it's the train station responsibility to ensure that there's no more than two trains along the same railway. So
because this is only a single rail track.
So the typical route Kandy to Ella is a single railway track. We're going to go over some bridges that are like designed in a way that is elevated, which for the time was very unique and groundbreaking. So we'll go across that, but it's a single track. So because of that, the station master has control of who goes along the track, and they do that through a tablet system where the train driver passes a block of wood to the station conductor. They then put it in this old machine, which I'll show you in a minute, and then that shows the whole line is clear or the whole line is blocked. And that's how they work out a system of using the railway here.
It's insane. And then he passes it on to the next train?
Exactly, and then that ensures that it's safe and the track is safe. So it's up to the station master to ensure that everything goes smoothly. It's a very old system, but it works in theory if you think about it.
Yeah, but being in Western Europe, I don't think I would rely on a wooden block.
We have electrical lights and red
and
green, and they even
go back to the wooden block.
Exactly, we've got high-speed trains. You know, at the moment, our drivers are going to try and see if they can get to the station before us. So it just shows the kind of speed we'll be going at. Relaxed voyaging, I call it.
Yeah.
Look, the line of that train is now coming. This one from the other station. Signal is given to here.
And now the old train arrives, and we're going to see the system in action. The train driver throws down a wooden block attached to a big ring to a guy on the platform. He walks to a small office.
The line is closed now. This line is closed now. Because this train is taken to the other line because the train is coming there. Yeah, so tell him to go to that.
Kandy train station has been there for more than 150 years, and this old tablet single railway track system has been working ever since. This seems old-fashioned, well, because it is, but
why fix something that works?
Yeah.
The next line, this line has been open. At that time, then your train is coming there.
They gave the tablet to a guy who went into the room at the station and put it in the 100-year-old machine.
Yes.
And now he's backing up to go onto another track to be sort of in a waiting position.
Yes.
Yeah. So our train can use this track.
The Sri Lankan railway system is truly unique and something you really must experience when you go to Sri Lanka. The train trip from Kandy to Ella and the other way in Sri Lanka is considered to be one of the most scenic and beautiful train trips in the world.
And trains always run on time.
No, because they're very rare because there's a lines are coming. Other lines when they close, because they have to wait him for the long time. Because other train is if other train is late, they have to wait.
Then the whole system gets backed up. Yeah.
We were on the train for 4 hours to Nuwara Eliya.
Nuwara Eliya means a city of light. Nuwara Eliya. Nuwara Eliya means city of light. Nuwara means city, like Kandy.
Yeah.
Kandy, Mahanuwara, we call Mahanuwara, big city, Kandy. Now here, Nuwara Eliya, light of city.
The train ride was really epic. First, we drive through small villages and we get a glimpse of the everyday life along the railway. Then we get into the scenic part of the trip. We get into the mountains and see bridges, rice fields, waterfalls, and stunning landscape of green and lush tea plantations. It's an older blue train without doors, so obviously we had to take pictures of us hanging out of the doors of the train. Probably not the safest thing, but still, we just had to get that Instagram moment.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
We ended up in Nuwara Eliya, also called the Little England of Sri Lanka. It's set against a beautiful backdrop of the mountains, valleys, waterfalls, and tea plantations. It's supposed to be one of the coolest places on the island, but it's really like just an English spring day. Although the temperature drops at night, it was actually quite cold. But it can become very foggy very quickly. We stopped for lunch at a place with an amazing view over a valley, and 10 minutes later we couldn't see anything because of the fog. In that regard, Little England is a perfect nickname for Nuwara Eliya. Also, all around you see the evidence of the British influence. Houses like country cottages or Queen Anne-style mansions. The Victoria Park in the middle of the town is a lovely place for a stroll or a picnic, and also good for bird watching. When we continue, I'm visiting one of the places where the terror attacks hit in April 2019. It's a Catholic church in Negombo, very close to where I stayed. And it's the church of the host and his family of the place that I stayed.
Some of his friends lost family members. One of his friends lost all his family in this attack.
I'll also take you on a drive with an Uber tuk-tuk. Yes, that is a thing in Sri Lanka.
I went on a drive the other day, and it was maybe 10-15 minutes, and it cost me...
Stick around and find out just how cheap it was. That's in a minute when the program continues. Produced by radioguru.co.uk, this is the Radio Vagabond, and my name is Palabo. Stay with me. Did you know that the Radio Vagabond is available through all the major podcast platforms? You can find the Radio Vagabond on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts for Android phones, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, your smart speaker, The Radio Vagabond on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, or on theradiovagabond.com. In short, anywhere you can think of. I bet it won't be long before you can pick up the podcast on your hairdryer. I've received a letter from Tom from Berlin. He writes, "Hi Palle, I enjoy traveling, but I don't get to travel nearly as much as I'd like. But when I do, your show is a great inspiration for me. I'm listening to the Radio Vagabond when I take the U-Bahn to work. In fact, your episode from North Korea was really interesting and made me consider putting it on the list when I'm going on a 3-week trip to Asia with my brother in a few months. As you said in the episode, they only show you what they want you to see, but it sounds like a different and interesting place to experience. And the fact that the U-Bahn trains we had here in Berlin when I was a kid now is driving around in Pyongyang sounds just like something I'd like to see for myself. And symbolically, when I heard the episode, I was sitting in the U-Bahn here in Berlin. Thank you for inspiring us to go off the beaten path. Tom." Thank you so much for your email, Tom. The episode Tom is referring to is episode 40, called "I Took My Daughter to North Korea." I put a link to this episode in the show notes. If you also like to send me an email, please send it to listener@theradiovagabond.com.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
The official part of the Sri Lanka press trip is over, but I decided to stay here a week and a half more, and I rented a small apartment with my own kitchen so I can cook. By the way, I found that through Hotels 25. You can also do that on hotels25.com. And I need to go shopping. I need to go and find some stuff now. And with my Uber app, I ordered an Uber tuk-tuk. Yes, it's a tuk-tuk, and it's a lot of fun driving in those tuk-tuks. They're actually often faster than in a regular car because they can maneuver in and out of this crazy traffic here in Sri Lanka. And then it's cheap. It's so cheap. I went on a drive the other day, and it was maybe 10-15 minutes, a couple of miles, not more than that, and it cost me 30 cents. So super, super cheap. Here it is. Hello. How are you today?
Where are you going?
I'm going to see if I can find some new shoes. My shoes are broken. I think we need to go the other way.
After the official 10-day tour, I decided to stay 10 more days. And for 2 of the days, I was invited to stay at a place called Club Hotel Dolphin. As I entered the place, I saw a guy that didn't look Sri Lankan.
That's correct. I am not looking Sri Lankan. My name is not Sri Lankan, and actually I am not Sri Lankan.
You don't sound Sri Lankan.
I am Stefan, the general manager here at Club Hotel Dolphin, and my origin is Germany.
Yeah. And you've been here 3 years?
It's my 3rd year now, and the 3rd summer season is almost completed now.
Yeah. So in a sense, we're quite similar. We're both European, neighboring countries, and I'd been away from my home country for a little more than 3 years. So and just being in a different environment. In my case, it's different from almost from day to day, from week to week, month to month. But in your case, you decided for Sri Lanka. Why just Sri Lanka?
It comes with the hospitality that the whole world can be your workplace. And I have made some very good experiences in the Indian Ocean region where we are in now, especially with people from Sri Lanka. And when the opportunity came up to work with even more people from this origin, I didn't have to think about long to say, yes, that will be something I'm very much enjoying and that will be a fantastic culture to work in.
Stefan has a wife and an 8-year-old daughter back in Germany, but he tells me that they are still very close.
With modern communication possibilities nowadays, it's not that much different. I basically attend all 3 meals per day via video call.
That's a good idea.
That is possible nowadays, and
I don't do that with my daughters. Maybe I should. Yeah, that's a good idea.
and that is something that
They set a plate for you and just put an iPad on your.
exactly, yes. That I'm usually leaning onto a Nutella glass or a bottle of water or something like that. And that is something that most of the people don't have, that they can spend 3 meals with their kids. And that gives me the opportunity to be part of the daily routine. So I know which friends from school are coming in the afternoon, what had happened in school days, and what's the activities on the weekend. So I am part of the life, although I'm not always personally around.
Yeah. And then when you are around, it's more intensive.
Exactly, and there's no couple of days that I have to fit in, because I am always up to date and know what's going on. So the day routine, we don't have that much routines. I have to fit in a little bit into the German life that we have over there, but it's dominant with a lot of activities, of course.
Before we continue, I just want to say a deep, heartfelt thank you to the people who wrote a review in iTunes or your podcast app. This means so much to me. Thank you.
Germans are known for everything has to be on time and in a specific way, and it's very different here. How do you cope with that?
It was several years back that someone called me Mr. Precise. And as we are in a different country, yes, you have to adapt a little bit. And as in many countries around the equator, everything is a little bit more relaxed, also time-wise, and up to a certain point you can influence. But some things you just have to accept. So we say in Europe that the 15 academic minutes can be. That's the usual thing over here. If it's not today, it's maybe tomorrow. That can happen as well, and it's fine. It's possible to adapt, but still you should be on time, but don't let yourself bother too much if 15-20 minutes are passing.
But when obviously you're the manager, so when you say at 9 o'clock, people show up at 9 o'clock.
Absolutely, yes.
By the way, you came 30 seconds before our meeting time here, so I was not worried a single bit. Let's talk a little bit about the resort. We're at one of the pools. This is the quiet pool where there are no loud music. It's where people can have a nice, relaxing time, and we're very close to the ocean. You might be able to hear the waves crashing in here, but it's quite a big area, and you also have another pool.
Exactly. We the whole resort is spread over 6 hectares of land, and we're having 50 villas and 104.
For people like me that doesn't know hectares, it's along the beach. How far is it from one end to the other?
The beach line is more than 600 meters, and it's a little bit in a half round shape, and so there's a lot of space for having a walk without leaving the resort. Oh, yeah. And what we are saying is we are trying to provide the best of both worlds. Mm-hmm. So we have the quiet area, which we are over here right now. There's no animation, no music. It's really relaxing, listening to the sound of the waves. Mm-hmm. And the other side is our activity side, where our animation team is around, not forcing, but offering all kinds of activities during the day. And you can enjoy the largest pool in Sri Lanka, 113 meters long.
Let's take that again, the largest pool in Sri Lanka.
It is obviously the biggest. It's not one square pool.
No, it's not an Olympic pool. It's not a square pool. It's curvy and it's beautiful.
But it still contains 2.2 million liters of water. So liters is probably a little bit easier to measure than hectares. So we have quite some big areas over here, and are able to offer all kinds of variety of relaxation.
And then you also have some different sports activities like a tennis court.
Tennis is one very international thing. We have our own badminton court, which is very popular here in Sri Lanka as well in other Asian countries. We have our own archery range. We have a squash court. We have our gym. We are playing mini golf, shuffleboard, chess, and many, many more. Billiards and table tennis are also available.
Yeah. And then you have a mixture of huts and apartments?
Exactly. We have two basically different types of accommodation. 50 standalone villas where you have your own bungalow. And that's a single unit, and the other half of the property consists out of normal hotel rooms in a small building 2 stories high, and accompanied around the pool.
This chat is the last of my my podcast here from Sri Lanka, and I've shared a lot of the stuff that I've seen, and the country is so diverse. It offers so many things, and hopefully, if you've listened to this, you would know that what I'm talking about. There's so much to see here, and the people are so friendly and so smiling. For you, what is it? To sum up your opinion, what is it that Sri Lanka has that is so unique?
The uniqueness comes from the comparably small island with that immense diversity. We have 7 different climate zones on the island, from the uphill country where you have sometimes even snow, and the hotels.
It was chilly up there.
Exactly. It's the area on the island where the hotels don't have air condition. They have heaters, actually. And going down to the beaches, it's a complete different scenario. And this diversity and mixture of culture and nature is, for me, absolutely stunning and extraordinary on this island.
The last bit of my my trip here to Sri Lanka for this time, I'm staying in Negombo. It's close to the international airport and around 45 kilometers north of Colombo. And I stay in 3 different places. The first place I stayed here was an apartment I rented, and the family I stayed with were Catholic. And I only just found out just yesterday that that was very, very close to San Sebastian Church, the cathedral, the church where one of the 8 terror attacks hit in April. So I reached out to my former hosts, and we got to know each other pretty well. We talked a lot. He's an intelligent guy and been traveling around the world, and we had a lot of great talks, and also talked about religion. But he didn't mention that we were this close to the church, and I assumed he just thought that I knew that. But when I found out, I reached out to him and asked him if he or anyone he knew had been affected by this, and he told me that him and his family were out of town that day. They were on a small vacation in the Easter, but this is their church, and if they hadn't done that, they would have been in the church that day. He told me that some of his friends lost family members. One of his friends lost all his family in this attack. So horrible. I decided to go here just to see what it looks like and get a sense of it and pay some respect. And it's completely rebuilt. It's you can't see anything apart from a few windows on the first floor is covered, but you can't really see anything except some pictures in front of the main entrance, pictures of not the terrorist attack itself, but of some of the funerals and people crying and flowers and military in the pictures, but nothing else. When you go into the area, there are armed soldiers, so they are an extra precaution. I don't know what they would have done that specific day, and I don't know if they were already there that day. But I decided to go here to to see what it looks like and pay some respect. I stay a little bit further away now, so I got an Uber tuk-tuk to take me here. And as we were getting closer, he asked me, "Are you going to the church?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." Then, do you mind if I stop just a little bit away from there, because I'm a Muslim? And I guess it would be provoking in some people's eyes that a Muslim came this close to the church and dropped off some money. I really don't know, but it's so weird to be here. When the tragic event happened in April, what did that do for guests at this hotel?
Of course, it was a huge, scaring hit that happened. One of the explosions was just about 20 minutes from here in the Negambo area, and the guests here never had any issues or problems or had to be scared. The property was completely safe. We are in the position that we are a little bit separated from the mainstream, not too far away, but not too close as well. And it was a very difficult time after the attacks, especially in May and June. The tour operators were compelled to fly out most of the tourists, and as you have experienced now, the tourism is coming back.
But in those months, were you more or less empty?
More or less, yes. There were still few guests. We have a good number of repeating loyal guests who are coming always and every year, and they stood with us. They are always in contact with us, and they knew how the situation is here and could possibly better judge than a first-time visitor to Sri Lanka that it's still okay to come. And but yeah, with 150 rooms, it is very quiet in the whole property when you only have 10, 15, 20 rooms occupied. And the tourism is recovering. The whole country has recovered from it. You basically don't see anything anymore. There's no disturbances on round trips or on any attractions, and it's completely safe to come back to Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and when I announced on Facebook that I was going here, I had a few comments saying, "Oh, please be careful," and I thought, what do you mean?
Exactly. It still happens that also I'm getting inquiries from European guests. How is the situation? Is it safe to make a round trip? And the pity is the media is always there when something happens.
Yeah, they like the bad news and not so much the good news.
Exactly, and there's no follow-up and nothing. You are reporting about something sensational, bad, and that is happening, but no one is taking the effort to look at it 4 weeks after. How is the situation then? Because that's not selling, and that is the part that's then to us. And thank you at this stage for coming over here and talking about Sri Lanka. That is what we have to do and what we must do now. It's still, or again, possible to come over here. It's still a wonderful and beautiful country, and absolutely worth to visit Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you very much, Palle.
The Radio Vagabond is partly supported by Hotels25.com, and the trip to Sri Lanka was made possible by Sri Lanka Tourism. But everything I've said in this episode is my own genuine opinion.
Why fix something that works?
See more on srilanka.travel. The Radio Vagabond is produced by radioguru.co.uk, and on theradiovagabond.com you can see pictures and find links to all the things I mentioned.
As I'm walking back to my cabin here at Club Hotel Dolphin, let me just say that was it here from Sri Lanka. It became a lot more from one place than I normally do, but there was so much experience, so much adventure, and it was just so amazing. One thing is for sure, this is not my last time in Sri Lanka, and I really hope that these episodes have made you consider coming here, because you really should, and it's definitely not my last time in this country. So that's it. The next episode will be, and I promise, back in Africa. We're going to Cape Town. My name is Pelle Bo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.